Not all superheroes wear capes. Some wear wellies. Wellies.
That's what we're kind of going for. But I wanted as well to show people you don't need all this fucking money to do it. Do you know? That's the crack.
Right, I'm ready when you are.
Oh, fire ahead. So, welcome everybody to the first James Conway Experience, live from the cowshed here in Sligo. Yeah. And we have Maurice. I know him as Maurice, but you might know him as the Long Acre with us. Maurice, tell everyone about yourself.
On, James.
Mighty.
Oh, to some spin up here.
That's nice.
Delighted to be up here. Nice little cosy shed. The heating is on. I'm in a t-shirt. I think we're out in Barbados, huh?
That's good. Well, one of the things I was saying it to Darren. Darren is our tech man, by the way.
Darren's in the background there.
Hello to Darren, everybody.
DJ Beats.
There you are. Look at him. What a man. But one of the things I wanted was to get rid of this kind of myth that you need a heap of money to do something like this. So what we've done is we've just used everything from the farm, and then Darren does a bit of tech work, so he has his own laptop and microphones and things like that. So I says to Darren, let's go splits on this, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
That's
so
it.
That's
it's like the Unbelievable's kitchen, as I say.
Yes.
It's ideal. We're very at home, myself and yourself, in a place like this.
The child of Prague in the middle of it.
I start pulling the string and you start dancing on the mantle, huh?
That's the crack.
Jesus.
Well, I want to... Basically, Maurice, will you tell us a little bit of what you do and who you are? And
yeah. Sure, we'll go. I suppose I'll give somewhat of an intro. So, basically, we'll start from the start. I'm 30 years of age, similar to yourself.
Yeah.
Hard to believe it sometimes looking at ourselves. What
you look a bit fresher than I do now. So
just out with the Gillette this morning, you know. But, yeah, look, I suppose, as I said, I'm 30. The last few years of my life have been the busiest point. And I suppose we go back to the start. Some people who might know me already, like I was adopted as a child, and I grew up in Dublin.
Yeah.
And through a relations farm, then I got a love of farming, and you know, it's all just kind of come together from that.
Yeah.
And when I was 25, I got the opportunity to buy a small bit of land, and
good man.
That's what came of the Long Acre out of that.
So the business that you're doing, the Long Acre, that you do social media, you do farmers' rights as far as I can see it as well.
I've kind of just tried to always highlight issues that weren't getting attention.
Yeah.
Now, be it that was during the COVID period, or political issues in Ireland, or just local issues or whatever, people had asked me, could you highlight this? And I was always happy to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And just give that alternative viewpoint or whatever, or go and, you know, walk along with a protest, see what's going on and different things like that. And it's come with some great benefits. There's been a lot of learning with it. There has, you know, but with that too, there comes complications. There comes legal complications as well for being a part of things. And, you know, I think people don't always appreciate when they're telling you, oh, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. They don't understand the ramifications sometimes of taking part in certain things.
Yes.
And I've never been too out there with explaining, well, do you know when I went and helped out with this? Yeah, well, I got a solicitor's letter for that.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, people don't realise that, and especially I think, you know, maybe people in the cities, and you see a lot of issues lately, especially with the iPass centres and stuff, and people are saying, well, why aren't the farmers here with tractors?
Yeah.
Like me personally, I don't have a tractor, but if I did, would I want to lose it? Would I want it seized?
No, that's, you see.
Or your land, or like, and you see the likes of Enoch, you know, he had his house taken off him.
Yeah.
Like 2 court proceedings and all your property's gone.
Yeah, I don't think most people they don't realise it.
If you really want to have power against the state, you'd want to be dependent on the state.
Well,
to an extent, like,
fundamentally, as far as I can see, and you know, there's a lot of people and they're looking for a leader and they're looking for this character to come out of the woods and all that. I
think Braveheart or Gladiator is going to appear.
Yeah, but he's going to have to live like Braveheart, which I mean, he's going to live in a cabin in the woods someplace, and what are they going to do? Take his bicycle or something? People don't realise that the letters you get for this, the sums of money that's described on them they're colossal.
No, but they're frightening.
Yeah, they're colossal.
And they can be like, you know, they can be 6 and 7 figures if you really go piss off the wrong company, or if you stage a blockade at the wrong place. Yeah, like you can be looking at a 7-figure letter.
That's right. Yeah, and a lot of people don't. They don't come to the realization that some of these things that is planned and takes place is exponential in nature. So it's like we were in England one time and we were digging near a BT place. And once you got within 100 metres, I think it was, of this certain cable, you had to hand dig. And we thought this was ridiculous, you know, you'd keep an eye out for the cable and that. This BT fellow, he says, what you don't realise, he says, is if you hit that every 5 minutes, it's £2 million.
Yeah.
So he says, do you want to use the shovels or do you want to use the digger? And we said, fair enough, we'll use the shovels, you know. So if you have one of these events, a business can quite literally say, we were down 3 million that day.
Yeah.
And if you're found out to be the organiser, that's the real dangerous one. Whatever about taking part, but if you're the person who organised it, that's the trouble, you know.
You just, for any of them things, you want a very good group of people that say, wasn't me, me.
That's right.
And if it wasn't anyone, then it's no one.
Yes.
You know, and that's the way them things have to be.
Yeah. It's like the total opposite of that film, I Am Spartacus, where everyone stands up and says, I'm not Spartacus.
Exactly.
There is no Spartacus.
But then the problem is then it's very hard for any movement to move forward without a leader or a voice or whatever, because the minute he stands up, he's going to be struck down.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, and it always annoyed me, because you'd hear it often, that we reserve the right to protest in Ireland. No, I'm afraid not. No. What they reserve the right to is to ring the authorities, tell them what you're planning, when it's going to take place, put the traffic
it's a staged event. Like.
Yes,
that's
it is.
It's a staged event.
Because if you think back on, and that's one of the things, when the Corrib gas line and that was on, and there was people laughing at Gardaí pulling people off the road and all of this. Well, that was protest. Shannon Airport, what went on down there. So I'd have serious queries about the right to protest in this country. Do you know? Serious queries.
I'd have serious queries about having any rights.
Well, you have the right to remain silent. They're fairly big on that one. What do you make of the adjustments that's been made in the hate speech and that? It's frightening stuff.
It's beyond frightening. But sure, look, you just take anyone that's like myself or you, right? They'd like to call maybe me or you, we'll say, political instigators or something like that, right? Yeah. And online instigators and whatever they want. They can go back to a simple video that I might have done 3 or 4 years ago, and that now could be used as evidence.
Yep.
Now, that's a very obvious one. But, like, when it comes to what's on your own personal phone and a message you and me had, or like, that's when shit gets really scary.
Yep.
And obviously, look, they made a big drive trying to remove, you know, woman, mother from the Constitution earlier on in the year.
Yep.
And it's all to do with that thing of, you know, putting a neutrality that there's just humans.
Yes.
And if it is just a human, well, next thing you're not going to worry about, because you hear a court case and it was just a person was assaulted. So now you don't have that empathy in your head to say, that poor woman was assaulted, maybe. Yeah. So you could use the case during the week with McGregor and Nikita Hand, like. Yeah. If that just said on the news, McGregor assaulted someone in a hotel, you go, he's a fighter, what about it? Nobody cares. Yeah. But it got massive coverage because it was a woman who was assaulted, and he was wrong, and he did, you know, he done damage, and he's affected her life and all them things. But people have empathy because it's a woman. Yeah. Yeah. Now, remove woman from the Constitution, and the courts aren't allowed to use it, media aren't allowed to use it, they're not allowed to hyper-focus on that it's a woman. Yeah. Now you've actually taken away her rights. So this way you always laugh about women's rights, Ireland. Yeah. They claim that they're vouching to help women, and they were trying to support that constitutional change. Yes. Like, a lot of the feminists don't realise, like, feminism itself has been the biggest injustice, if that's the correct word, for women's rights. Yeah, well, it's like the whole issue of transgenderism and that, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you do you. Yeah. But if I have a daughter and she's playing rugby, and the next thing I see her getting steamrolled by a 6'3", you know, specimen with long hair, I'm going to have a few questions to ask him or her at the end of it. You see, how do I say it? I have no difficulty with someone living like that. I've seen it beyond in London, Birmingham. We grew up with lads that we always knew were a bit different, and they got on with it. Like, and this, you know, I like to wear my sister's dresses, right? Great, grand. But we're still calling you Tom, like. We don't care. You do you, mate. That's as far as I'm concerned. But you see, my issue with it, and I will say it, like, is women have to have some sort of physical protection in place. Yeah. Do you know? But it's like you and me are, so a lot of people could say, you're a toxic male.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm classed as a toxic male, right?
Yes,
Grand.
yeah.
We'll pick our cousins maybe, or a friend or whatever. If somebody broke into their house, they don't ring their little gimpy brother.
No, they ring
you
the
or
toxic
me.
male, yeah. And it's the same as, you know, God forgive me for saying it, you know, if your house is on fire do you know, you're not looking for someone to come around and ask you how you feel. Do you know? You're asking for someone to come around and put out the fire.
Put out the fire and help you. But there's not enough focus or appreciation for the everyday regular man.
Not at all.
And the lads who are very similar to myself and yourself are getting very quiet in themselves because they see that there is that kind of hatred out there at the moment. There's a kind of a distaste that, like, all men are this, all men are that. You're toxic. Your natural behaviour is toxic. We're not on about justifying what McGregor done or what some of these other savages are doing, but the only difference is if you start trying to push us down too much, then them monsters only get bigger. Because if they guys think that they can walk the streets, that nobody's going to question them, or if they go to snatch a handbag, or if they try and assault someone, and if they're fully confident in the fact that they don't believe there's anyone there to put a stop to that in society, they will continue to do it. That's why you see so much trouble with the migrants, because the migrants come into the Western world and they look around, they go, look at these lads in their skinny jeans and their fucking soy lattes. What are they going to do? And that's why you see all these assaults taking place in Dublin. And what's happening is people are recording these assaults.
Yes.
And nobody's acting against these assaults.
No.
I've seen more young guys in Dublin, young kids have actually gone to help people rather than grown-ass men who are walking down the street looking over their shoulder going, not my problem.
But there's another aspect to that too, and, you know, there's a lot of fellas who are absolutely terrified to get involved anymore because they think to themselves, well, if I throw a thump here, I'm up in court.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm up on charges. I'm locked up. I'm spread across the newspaper. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you square that circle?
But the most obvious thing in Ireland is, and you can say it, and people have no choice but to acknowledge it, there is actually no good representation for the average fella in Ireland. Never mind worldwide, right? But we'll just say in Ireland, there's no proper representation for the average guy. And the good average guy, like, you know, people will say you're toxic and you're dangerous, and like I've seen some of the stuff that people write about you online. Yeah. At the end of the day, you're a family man.
That's it.
You're a farmer. You're working.
Yeah.
You've your own house. You've built and paid for it. You've done it all, right? You're good to your wife. You're good to the kids. I've been here. I've seen all the things going on in the morning, whatever. But they're going to say that because you might have done X, Y, or Z or Z, that you're not a valuable individual. Mm-hmm. Like, in life, the best all-rounder is better than the man who's only good at one thing. Yeah. You know, and that's where the quality is, like.
Well, one of the other things, and it's never talked about, or that is, there's certain jobs and industries in this country, and they're wholeheartedly male. Yeah. Do you know, if you go into, you know, refuse collection, sewerage, dirty, hard jobs,
it's
right?
Not, and we want to say, it's not that women can't do it.
No, it's not.
Why the fuck would they want to do it? We don't want to do it. We're doing it out of necessity a lot of the time.
Well, you see, that's one of the things that annoys me a little bit about the gender pay gap, or that, you know. There is jobs that are exceptionally well paid that are predominantly men. Yeah. I'm talking, you know, underwater welder. But nobody ever talks about the aspect that that's probably a 50-50 if you're going to come back from it. Do you know? It's like, I was watching a guy, it's out in America someplace, and it's one of the tallest masts in America.
Changed the light bulb.
Well, I think he gets 20 or 30 grand for changing a single light bulb. Yeah. But if I asked you to climb a ladder to the top of the Empire State Building, do you know, and people don't realise it unless you've worked at proper height or that, that thing is moving 30 or 40 feet across this way. Like, as I says, new pair of underpants when you get to the bottom of it, that's all I can say. But issues like that is not talked about.
It's like, do you remember Fred Dibney?
Fred Dibney, yeah.
Oh, the steeplejack, right?
He's brilliant, yeah.
And like, I remember watching him explain, and he goes, there was something, one of his clips is about why isn't there any women in the industry? He goes, it's hard enough to have a piss standing up here, never mind trying to squat or something, he said, right?
Sit down, yeah.
But like, he said, like, a brick steeple those big high coal furnaces and whatever that they used to have in the UK
Yeah.
could move up to 2 foot.
Yes, all the time.
Imagine, and it made out of brick,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't split.
No.
It wouldn't do anything. Imagine then you're opening a big old flexy piece of steel. Like, what
Yeah.
it'd be like.
Well, you see, I think that's why they used so many leaves of brick
Yeah,
on the outer wall. Now, I watched him one night. He was knocking one, I think it was in Bolton.
Yeah.
And he climbed to the top of it, and he had to knock it brick by brick because you couldn't demolish it because there was too many buildings around. So you ask anybody,
You'd
do you
be
know,
sick of the top.
the vast majority of men won't do that job.
No.
Do you know?
And have to reset your ladder and every time. Like, every time he went 3 foot, I think I've
Yeah,
seen that.
yeah.
He had
Up
to
with
move
another ladder.
the whole lot. He was having to move the whole lot. It'd take him nearly a day to reset.
Yeah.
Take another 2 foot off the top, reset. I think he was telling him it was going to take about 8 months.
But you know, there's other jobs as well. It's like a CEO of a company, and you'll often hear the feminists roaring and shouting that not enough women CEOs are that.
Yeah.
A CEO is a psychopath,
Yeah. A lot.
right?
Yeah.
You're talking about someone who has dedicated their 24-hour day to a company, who'll answer the phone night or day, doesn't matter. Goes to a family event when everyone's around the table or that phone rings. All right, I know you're my kids and that. I'm taking this call. I have to sort it. Japan's in trouble. I reckon women has looked at that job and went, no,
they don't
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And instead of the feminist movement going, because we're clever. There's no amount of money worth that.
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know.
But it's just their main thing has always been to just divide the sexes.
Oh yeah.
That's what it is, and it's making you see that nowadays. Like there's such a divide, and they're making enemies of each other. That and look, all the single people today. Like nobody wants to get married.
That's it.
Nobody wants kids.
Yeah.
Like a lot of say girls our age, like a lot of them don't want families.
Yeah.
They don't even want a fella.
Yeah.
They're gonna live happy and live with their cats. Do you know?
I
I'm
do
not
not
making a knock
no,
at
I
them
know.
for that, but that's the way society is gone.
Yeah, but I think I don't know. I have 3 lovely children and a good wife, thank God, and life is good. Do you know when you come home in the evening?
But that's fulfilling.
Oh, it's lovely. When you come home in the evening, and I'm going to be my toxic male self now, Maurice. And there's a beautiful dinner waiting on you, and kids going, "Daddy's home."
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is why I got up at 6 o'clock this morning in the frost and headed off to the back arse of nowhere for the day.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm going to do it tomorrow.
And that makes you want to do it.
Yeah, but then I have, I won't say they're my mates, but I've encountered plenty of young men who just go, when they don't have that, they go, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the baseline of work that I can, or welfare, or whatever it is. I'm going to play me video games, and what's the point trying? Do you know? Yeah. And that's, it's sad.
No, it is sad.
It's sad, so it is, because we're going to... there's a lot of people who go on about Ireland, we're being replaced in our own country and that. We're not breeding.
No, we're not breeding.
And then
Musk,
a lot of
Musk is always talking about that.
Well, he's right, but I don't know what Tipperary or that. I can only speak for where I'm from here or that, but I have so many friends now who are in Australia, Canada. Do you know, they couldn't see a life here.
No, they don't, no.
Like if you take from when you came up there at the main road, right?
Yeah.
Come up the full length of that. There's not many kids.
No.
Do you know?
I know.
It's all older families, and maybe the younger ones have emigrated and all that. And then you have the schools with less and less kids in it, and it's really sad.
Yeah, and don't forget, you and me are actually a minority in our own country now, for our age.
What, the way we think or that?
Well, we're very much a minority in that way, James, but we're a minority in the sense that we're actually outnumbered now by immigrants.
I'd well believe that.
No, that's a serious. You can check that. Sorry, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I promise you it's real, guys. You and me, there's less of you and me, say 30-year-old males.
Yes.
30-year-old Irish males in Ireland than there is 30-year-old migrants.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because I went, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now, I have an uncle in Australia. I had 3 uncles in Australia at one point, but one of them is still over there.
Yeah.
A fairly big farm over there, but I went to Sydney Airport, and my cousin met me at the airport and says, we'll go around the, Bondi Beach and all this.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, for the life of me, get over. It's like it's like downtown Athlone, or it's all Irish
it's all Irish
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but a weird thing, and it's just something that clicked with me, right? The amount of girls I seen who were working manual labour jobs,
because they're so well paid out there. But the lifestyle is better as well.
Well, it's the weather, I think.
Yeah, it's the weather, the lifestyle, and everything. Like, you look at the fucker of a day that's outside there today.
Oh, that's cruel, so it is. Yeah.
And like, I'd be out, obviously at the tyres and whatever, like, and I'd be getting my hands in and be putting them up to the compressor. We've petrol compressor in the van, and I'd be literally just trying to heat them.
Yeah.
Because you'd be trying to pull out tubes, and your hands are just getting sore, and you're just.
Yeah. Well, I remember, like, I've been very fortunate over the years. I've always been employed, you know what I mean? And, but I remember one occasion, I was very young. It was like a farm supply store.
Yeah.
Do you remember the year of the big freeze?
Yeah,
Do you remember
2010.
Whenever that was.
Yeah.
I was very young that time. And we were in the shed, and it was actually colder in the shed than outside.
Yeah.
Don't know, was it something to do with the galvanised or the steel or that? But myself and my mate Richie, he worked there as well, sat down for the tea, opened our flask, poured out the cups, and damn it, just as soon as you had it done, someone pulled in. So headed over, started filling the Jeep with beef 16 or whatever this man wanted. By the time we got back to the cups, the stuff was nearly frozen within them. I remember thinking to myself this day, God above, I should have just listened in school.
I remember the toilet water froze in my nanny's house that time.
Yeah, it was cruel.
I was just like, I remember going in and I was like, geez, I have to do a bit of defrosting here.
Yes. But we've had a great run since without it. But I don't know, for livestock and that, I think a bit of frost is kind of healthier for
better.
them.
Well, like, look, animals don't. I see people writing comments to me when the snow was the other day and whatever, and it's like, animals don't care about being snow and frost once they're dry.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
It's the rain kills them. Like, a lamb will live born in -5, not a bother. As long as he doesn't stick to the grass. Sometimes that's a problem. They'll stick to the actual ground when they're born, but the cold doesn't bother them. It's the rain.
Yeah.
Like, I had cattle out last year, and God love the creators. Like, they didn't gain ground because they just were perished from the rain.
Yeah.
They were well fed, everything like that, but I didn't have the.
How do you winter them? Do you winter them like in a shed or out?
Last year I left them out in a paddock.
Yeah.
We'll say there was kale out in that paddock before.
Yes,
that.
yeah.
But this year they're in a shed now and they're on peat bedding, and I'm finding it good. Like, but see, my yard is it's so old, and there's no slatted house, and it's just by right the whole place needs to be knocked and just go.
Well, this place is similar, but I don't intend.
But I don't think your place might have been gone quite as far. Like this barn is like crumbly now.
I know it was.
Yeah,
it was well on. Now this where we are now. Yeah. This thing has seen more enterprises over the years.
Yeah, I know.
This thing has seen poaching making, salmon poaching, sheep lambing, cows calving, Airbnb, and now it's a podcast studio.
That's the job.
But I would not have the heart to knock that.
I know, but this is a lovely building. But I suppose the older, like what I'm on about, like the old round barn buildings. Like, that's what I'm stuck with. At the house, like, and there's no, like, it's just so open.
Yeah,
it's too rotten to resheet it, so it's a case I just have to knock it in the future. And
no,
I know. I'm going to rebuild it. I'm going to rebuild the round roof on it. Like,
I love the round roof shed.
Yeah,
I think they're.
I re-roofed the round roof shed this summer now, but it was a lower style one. It was a second-hand shed that the people had bought one time.
Yeah,
and they just cut the legs in half basically and made it a short one.
Yes.
So, but I just put a lean-to on that this summer. It's just way cheaper. That's just
great job.
I know it's a pity, but. Like in the price comparison, you just couldn't go buying a.
No, I'm with you. And what breed cattle do you keep then?
I keep, so they be Angus cows out of British Friesians.
Okay,
so they're great milkers. Like some of my cows will rear 2 and 3 calves each.
Right.
Yeah.
So and what do you do?
I double suck them all. Which people are always fascinated by. But
that was common years ago.
Yeah, no, but see, that's what. Like I would have grown up doing that with my uncle.
Yeah.
But the only difference is that time I think they used to make a lot of work because they bring them in and out morning and evening.
Yeah.
Whereas the minute my cow's calving, I adopt a calf onto her.
Yeah.
And away she goes.
And they're all, see, a lot of people out, there could be people all around the world listening to that or that, but I don't think they realise that the vast majority of cattle in Ireland is grass-fed.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Do you know, grass-fed in America is, it's a nice thing. Like,
this regenerative movement and grass-fed this and all this, like, the Americans are treating it like they've reinvented the wheel.
That's right, yeah.
But that's just normal farming to us here in Europe.
Yeah, that's
Like
right.
we've always just done paddock grazing. Like these guys are going out with GPS systems saying we're going to cordon off this section today and the cows are going to do this and this is putting carbon back in the ground.
Yeah.
It's great. You're just doing rotational grazing, lads. Chill the bean, lads.
Yeah, but you see, there is an aspect of that too that I don't understand how our kind of ministers or that can't get their head around it. So I like regenerative farming and all that.
Yeah.
And I can't understand how our government can't say to Europe, we're building topsoil.
You're not allowed to question the hoax, though.
I know you're not, but at the same token,
Yeah.
if you're building topsoil,
Yeah.
you're sequestering carbon.
Oh, yeah. But like Irish farming sequests more carbon than is created in the entire country.
That's right. Yeah, but people don't want to talk about that.
But this annoys a lot of people. I won't even have that conversation with someone because the whole question of sequestration, carbon, climate is bullshit.
Yeah.
But that's the bottom line. No amount of tax creates extra oxygen.
No, it doesn't.
So forget about it. People just have to come back down to the reality. It is a control.
Yeah.
They are slowly and gradually taking control of your food source.
Well, you see, that's the end goal.
Your means.
Yeah.
They're taking control of everything.
Yeah.
They're wrecking your car by having you run it on AdBlue. Find me one mechanic that'll give you the benefits of using AdBlue. There's not one.
No, there's not.
That's why I have the DPF taken out of my yoke. Most people have it done.
Yeah.
You know, like, people just can't seem to grasp the fact that you're going into a more controlled future and society.
That's right, yeah.
And you start telling them that this stuff has been going on in China since 2017. And they're like, no, you're full of shit. You're
No.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Everything is there to read, and you're a great man for reading. Like WWII, the UN, they all have all this information there for you to read. Like their plans are there in black and white.
Yeah. And they're having the meeting. Do you remember, Darren, they were on about that? They had the 15-minute city meeting, and they arranged it for the night that my wedding was on.
Yeah.
Because they basically knew all the anti-fucking globalists in the area will be at James Conway's wedding, so we'll have the meeting that night. So that is the solid truth.
Yeah.
And I said it, and that's Dromore West. What would it take you to drive through it at the moment? 40 seconds? 40 seconds, I'd say. So if they're... if they're talking about a 15-minute, I'm thinking to myself, how big is this place going to be?
But like, the problem with people get excited by the word convenience.
Yes. Yeah.
They're getting excited by thinking that they're going to have these little, these little subdivisions within Dublin and places like this, and everything is going to be there.
Yeah, but you're not leaving your subdivision.
No, they don't understand that the 5K zones a couple of years ago were practice.
Yes, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
But you can't get that to them. I said, look, it's all well and good, right? You tell me you don't need to leave Dublin. You can live with a bus or a bike, whatever you like. You can go down to this shop, you can do that. When it comes to the reality of a lad like me who needs to go to Dublin for the day, but I can't go to Dublin because I've used up all my carbon credits to feed my cows.
Yeah.
Right?
People don't realise that.
I can't go through the toll because it won't allow my number plate because it knows that my carbon credits are low.
Yeah.
And and people go, that's all crazy. I was like, no, that's how it is in China. They come to a toll bridge.
Yep.
They have their own QR code for themselves.
That's right.
Their number plate reads.
Yep.
Toll bridge decides, no, you're not allowed.
Yeah. And another thing, and they're on about the transport, and you'll have the trains and the Lewis and all that. You can look up this, and it's 100% provable. Yeah. If the Chinese Communist Party decides that you're a kind of a political instigator or that, you're not allowed to travel on the train.
No, you're not. No. But you're
not allowed to buy the ticket.
Your bank account is automatically subtracted for jaywalking.
That's right. Yeah.
And people go, sure, how's that, man? Their cameras are so good. They'll pick you up with a disguise, and they're actually so advanced. The latest video I was watching on it, a guy was highlighting that it actually knows by your walk.
Yeah, your gait.
It knows by your gait. So it knows by the step distance you take, and the old swagger. If you have the John Wayne swagger, it'll pick you out of a crowd. It said it could pick you out of any crowd in a festival or anything. It knows exactly who everyone is every time.
It's how do I say it? It's one of those things, though, that the vast majority of people in Ireland are working a job. Yeah. They have a mortgage to pay, maybe the child care or that. It's like what I call it. It's a hamster wheel.
No, it's a fucking hamster wheel.
And like me and you has to admit it or that. There's a lot to be said sometimes for staying on the wheel.
Yeah,
So
but
there
I
is.
always say, like, hey, blessed are those with heads like handball alleys.
Yeah.
You're fucking blessed. If you don't know any of this stuff, you're fucking blessed.
Yeah.
You don't actually suffer the punishment that is knowledge.
That's
And knowledge,
Ignorance
ignorance is
is
bliss.
bliss, right,
But
yeah.
knowledge is a fucking punishment.
Yeah.
And people used to laugh at a lot. You know, you'd see them alcoholics or you'd see different lads like that. And we all knew they were smart and different things like that, right?
Yeah.
But they're just a bit tormented.
Yeah.
But they were tormented from knowledge.
Yeah.
They were maybe men before their time. They had nobody to converse that conversation with. Like, they weren't surrounded with, you know, great philosophers or anything to share these ideas with.
100% the problem.
And they just went into a bottle and said, just subdue it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're still, like, there's people like that everywhere today. But the problem is some of them, you and me are trying our best, maybe on platforms and stuff, trying to get little bits of information like this out. We just want to have general chats with people who understand what we're on about, finding, we'll say, our tribe.
Yeah.
But some people then, they just, when they do get that opportunity, they're like incessant and they just go, la, 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 and they blather it all out. And next thing they're talking about the lizards are running the world. And then it's like, no, you've lost everyone.
Yeah, I've lost them. Yeah. It's one of those things, it's a gradual, it's just a gradual build up of one thing leads to another. But the only unfortunate thing that I'll say about it is, brings you to a place in the latter end where you cannot sit and watch the television
You
or
can't
something.
enjoy life, like. It's
No,
hard.
because you're thinking, there's an angle.
Yeah, there's always
There's an angle here.
It's like, what's the angle on these fucking things?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Just to drive you mad. Them caps. You see everyone giving out about them. They are actually, like, is it just to piss people off, like?
Well, it's
What about the recycling scheme?
The milk cartons,
Yeah.
you can't recycle them.
Yeah.
No,
But, like, that recycling scheme is the biggest joke there ever was.
Well, it's a scheme and it's making money. You see, forget it. You go back 50s or 60s, you had what was it? All the oil will be gone in 10 years.
Yeah.
All the oil will be gone in 10 years. Forget about it, all the oil is gone. So that led to more taxes on oil because people said, well, we have to conserve it, we can't make it as available as, well, you can't be wasting it, you know. Then it was acid rain. By the way, acid rain, it's all acid rain, it's all going to fall on you, you're going to melt. You won't be able to go outside the house or you'll melt unless we do this, that and the other thing. Okay, well, where did acid rain go? That was solved, all right. Ozone layer, that was the next one came up. There's a big hole over Antarctica if you don't stop using this deodorant. And you see, maybe there was and maybe it was solved, wonderful, but it resulted in a rake of taxes. And now they're saying, yeah, it's closed. All right, so we get rid of the tax then? Or? No. All right, now you're on to the global warming or that.
Yeah.
Well, it was a really interesting fella I was looking at. It's a strange thing. A lot of things I won't say for it or against it. I'll just let people make up their own mind. But I watched this guy who was an environmental scientist in Greenland, and he was doing ice coring.
All right, okay. So he was carbon dating it, like.
Yeah, but the documentary was from the early 90s.
Right.
It's very difficult to get now. Basically what he was saying was, well, if we go back however long, carbon was actually higher.
Yeah.
And the temperature was...
But all the science shows that, like.
Well, I had done an interesting thing. I read an article. Was another fellow who I consider very intelligent man. Or that. And it said that the ice cap is melting at this rate. At this rate, you're going to run out of fish off the coast of Nantucket or some of them places in America. Polar bear population is going through the floor. And read it out. I said to him, could you tell me what year that was wrote?
Yeah.
And he says, well, it sounds very much to me like the early 2000s or that. And I went, yeah. 1894. So, as I said, I have a good example of this, right? You can follow government policy to your own detriment.
I can.
We were in Connemara the other day. All the power in Connemara was out, gone.
Yeah.
So if you had an air-to-water house, you had no ability to heat your house unless you used a diesel generator or something like that.
You know heat, you know cooking, you know
No,
nothing. Like.
but how did
without
it-
electricity, they're all screwed anyway, like.
But how did it happen? Well, the snow stuck to the lines and iced, and then more snow stuck to the lines. So eventually there was so much weight between each
Sag,
pole.
Yeah.
Bang! One pole goes, next thing 17 or 18 of them is down.
Yeah.
And I had never thought that possible. And then I was thinking to myself, So you're telling me at the coldest point of the year
Yeah.
is more than likely if something goes wrong when people will have no heat.
Yeah. Ideal, isn't it?
That's insane.
But like, we had a couple of power breaks this year around the country, different storms and different whatever. And
Yeah.
each night I just put up a little story that I was sitting in my little cottage with my fire and my dogs, and I had electricity.
Yeah.
And I just, like, a couple of times I put up, who's laughing now?
Well, it's the same
But you know,
thing,
like, people are laughing at, like, I've lived for nearly 2 years now with no electricity, no water. Okay, I had a Jenny the last couple of months, and
Yeah.
life's not simple, but at the end of the day, it's doable, like.
It is, yeah.
But again, it comes back to convenience.
Yeah.
But, like, if you end up that you want everything to be made convenient by the government,
Yeah.
you're dependent on the government.
That's
you're
right.
dependent on the government, that's it, you forget about it.
Well, that's
You're actually off
yeah.
grid.
I'm off grid.
Right.
But my plan is to remain, like, obviously at the moment, I'm dependent on diesel.
Yeah.
But once I get my battery sorted out and a couple other bits and pieces, and
Have you a plan on hydro or air?
yeah,
or-
I have a plan for hydro. Yeah,
Very
Yeah.
good.
But I'd like to do a mixed match of everything. But the
Yeah.
problem is, if you have your little wind turbine now, like today,
Yeah.
chances are that's going to break. Like,
Yeah.
wind turbine, them little ones are only really good for that nice summer breeze.
Yes.
The winter time, you'd be as well off just put the brake on it and leave it that way,
Yeah.
or take it down, because
It will break.
It will break, like, and it'll take off, and God knows where the hell it'll land, like.
But an awful lot of farmers around the country probably don't realise the advances that have been made in hydro technology.
Yeah, no, they don't.
You know, you can have a stream at this stage and have a
you can
little
have
whirlpool generator.
A spring will do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like-
And that information, why? Well, I know why governments isn't telling people that, because then you don't need the ESB and you don't need to pay the tax.
But the other problem as well is, so if you want to put that into, like, a river that has salmon or trout or something
Yeah.
like that, so now you're liable to the fisheries.
That's right.
Right. So in the case of mine, I have a river,
Yeah.
right? But I won't be putting my water turbine in that river.
Yeah.
I have a mountain spring, which is technically just a drain.
Yes.
So therefore, I shouldn't really be dealing with the fisheries.
Yeah. Yeah. But you could pipe that into one of them whirlpool.
Oh yeah, I will.
gen-
Yeah, that's the plan.
Great
yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Mighty job. But there's a guy there in Wales doing that all over the UK at the moment. I do follow him on a few things. I must get his name. I'll probably put it in the link. He's really interesting.
Yeah.
Very good at his job.
Do you ever see Barra? He's from Sligo or Leitrim. He does all the water wheels and stuff. He has a TikTok account.
Oh, the ones around Ireland or that he goes around on.
Yeah,
them.
he makes up all, like, bicycles and every sort of thing. Like, he's just showing people how you can do it from scrap.
Yeah.
And washing machines and stuff. But, like, he does it.
Yeah.
You know, it's great to see what people can do. There's one thing I do kind of regret. I'm not great with wiring.
Yeah.
I can do nearly anything, but just the wiry type stuff now was just never my thing, you know?
You see, I spoke to that to an electrician one time, and he reckons, he says it's actually it's like anything. He says if you get a few days at it, he says it's kind of it makes sense.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's
It's
straightforward.
just a lot of maths and stuff like that, and kind of
Yeah. But the fella that I spoke to, because same as that, I don't do electric. I have a couple of mates as electricians and that, and Darren here is quite handy at it, so he is. So I leave it to people who know it, because it's one of those things you
you
can't
don't.
get one chance at it. So you
It's like eating the wrong mushroom. You only get one chance of that.
just go like, is it on? Oh, it's on, yeah. No, what's it called? Other thing now. Your beef boxes. You need to tell me about this.
Yeah, so I advertised it kind of in the middle of the summer. I was thinking about selling beef direct off the farm. Now, look, that's always been a goal. Like, you know, I always wanted to be able to kind of sell my own beef and cut out Larry, as we say, and whatever. So I put up a couple of teasers, got a lot of interest. Eventually decided I was going to kill an animal. You know, we got the first one sold out very quick. There's no issue about selling the beef. It's went quite well. I've done a couple of animals now. It's the logistics is where I'm finding problems, and not being able to depend on people. I had a guy who kind of, will say, took on almost like the contract. He was going to be, I'm going to call him a middleman, but he wasn't a middleman. He was just a guy who was going to handle the pack and dispatch.
Yes.
So it's like hiring DPD or anyone, if you like.
Yeah.
That's his thing. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
And I had issues, like, I'm not going to lie to anyone. Like, there's always teasing issues on the first one.
Yeah.
And you'd say, grand, I'll address them. And I was official as you could be, emails, all this kind of thing. I had to refund some customers because of issues. And you accept that that's part of the game.
Yeah.
You know? But we had a couple of issues on different orders, and I had to let that guy go because I find nowadays you cannot depend on people. I know what it is. People have no pride in their job, or they have no pride in what they're to do, and they don't go the extra step. Like when I was advertising 10 kilo beef boxes, I was telling him, you should be putting 11 kilos in a box.
Yeah.
And if that means I sell less boxes and I make less money,
Yeah.
or if I lose money because I send out less orders, I said, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I said, don't be sending them out half empty.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of deliberate sabotage and different things. I'm not going to name him. Some people know who he is and whatever.
You don't need to.
I'm not into that. I'm not trying to spoil anyone, but, I hope it's a good lesson for him, but he was getting well paid to do a job that he didn't do. But that is the trend in this day and age.
Yeah. Well, it's trouble. How do I say it?
Now, I'll be resuming it after Christmas. I'll put a shout out on this. If there's any butcher out there who's looking to work with me on, getting a vacuum packed and getting bits and bobs done correctly and just having stuff ready on time.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a big pressure on you. It'd be one animal a month.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're aiming for.
So you need abattoir. Do you need the killing or
I need someone to do the killing,
packing?
hang it for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks preferably.
Yeah.
You get real nice beef after 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. One thing I will say about the beef, I had no complaints about the quality of the beef.
Yes.
I had a good few women message as well saying, my kids will never eat beef.
And they loved it.
They loved the spaghetti bolognese, or they loved because it was so tender.
Yeah.
Like, it's Angus or Hereford type cattle I have, like, so.
Yeah.
And in the event that I don't have cattle myself, I can buy cattle off guys who are same as myself. They're not doing any big dosing regimes or vaccination regimes, and they're just, they're not coming out of a shed like or a feedlot. Like, these are lads who are grazing land similar to yourself. They'll be wintering kind of mountainy ground in different places. And but so the butcher has to say, kill it, hang it. If you can vacuum pack it, it's great because it lasts so much longer.
Yeah.
And then anyone who wants to try and get anyone with a freezer van out there who's good at dispatching or any of that, like, you can send, like, it's very handy. DPD are actually a great service nowadays. That like, you just put in a styrofoam box. You can use cool packs, or what you can do is if you freeze the burgers, because it helps to freeze the burgers to get them to bind.
Yeah.
Okay. So your burgers then, in fact, for a short period will act as the cooler pack. So there's ways, around it, like, because some people want cool packs. Some people don't want them in a box because they're nervous of plastic contamination and all this. So, like, you're trying to cater for everyone. It's not very simple. Yeah. The beef boxes are a mixed beef box. You get a couple of roasts, you get mince, you get steaks, you get burgers. In fairness, I'm so grateful to people's patience with me. Yeah. And they understand that, like, we're trying our best, and it's new to us. And
it's one of those things, though, and I think Ireland is good for that. That if you show a bit of initiative and you start something up, people kind of realise that, it takes time to get efficient at something, and you need to have the right people in place.
And unfortunately, you don't learn what the problems are until you do
it. Yeah, no, that's the truth. But that's like... it's like anything. I used to have a fella who used to comment anytime I put up a video or anything like that. He'd go, "Oh, you're a complete failure," or that. And I text back to him and I says, well, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "Oh, you went for the election and all this and you failed." And I went, "Yeah, because I tried." Yeah. Do you know? Yeah. You're not hurting my feelings by saying that. Like, I'll say it quite openly. I've had plenty of things I've tried over the years. Some have worked, some have not worked.
I have I have a filing cabinet of fuck-ups, like.
Yeah, but
I also have a great filing cabinet of experience.
Yeah, but you see, then you know what works and what doesn't work. It's like myself and Darren spoke about this. It could work. Mightn't work.
I'd often talk to people and they say, "Geez, I'm fierce lucky. I never have anything go wrong." And I always just think in my head,
you never know nothing.
You do nothing. You
no.
can't.
It's like the man. It's like the man, and he'd have a lot of sheep, and he'd say, "Well, how'd your lambing go?" And I'd be truthful about it. I'd say, "Well, we had this problem with that, but other than that, it was okay." Or that. She says, "I had no problems," and I went, "Jeez, that is mighty. Yeah. Fair play to you." Yeah. And you do that every year. Oh, fantastic. If you want to live in La La Land, that's...
But it's like, I've often done videos up at the Long Acre, like, I could have a cow, have a stillborn or whatever, but like, I'll highlight it. I always say to people, like, I am not here trying to sell you some story that this is all sunshine and daffodils. Like, it's just not, like.
No.
I showed, like, okay, I didn't have yours now the last 2 years, but like, that had to show problems with lambing and stuff. Yeah. And, like, you have to explain to people that sometimes no matter how much you do, there's just nothing you can do.
That's right.
And you and me understand that. Like, if you said to me now, geez, I went down there, there's the own the field, there's triplets, they're tangled every which way. It took me ages. She'd fucking ringworm. I couldn't get in. I had to give her oxytocin. I'll 100% go, that was out of James's hands. Where somebody else go, well, why didn't you ring a vet? Why didn't you do this? Well, nobody wants to talk about the truth. Are you always not worth ringing a vet for?
No. Well, you see, this is where the commercial side, the reality of farming meets up with this kind of. It's like a fantasy.
Yeah.
Do you know? Like, the truth of the matter is, if you have an animal that a vet's bill could be €600 to €700 if you were to do everything possible that could be, and the animal is worth 100, 200, can't justify it.
No.
You're not going to be in business.
No.
You know, I think people lose track of that a little bit. So they do.
Some people do. But the thing is, if you're knacky with animals, like if you have a good understanding of animal husbandry and care and things like that, you shouldn't really have to ring the vet too often.
No.
You really shouldn't, especially around calving and lambing. Like, if you're having major difficulties with lambing and calving, there's other issues there. Like,
there is,
you're feeding them too much.
Or too little.
Or you're not giving them the right minerals. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, there's all them kind of issues around it, like.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing, you see, a lot of people doesn't give it credit, but a lot of this stuff is coming from your soil.
Yeah.
You know, if you take a soil sample and you're deficient in calcium or whatever it is, well, that's going to be in the animal, you know. So when it comes to lambing time or that, you shouldn't be too surprised that when she has 2 lambs inside her, one day she just kind of goes over because she was calcium deficient or whatever. It comes. If you're on top of your soil and you're on top of what extra minerals you're giving to them, and you don't have half as much problems.
No, you don't.
So you don't.
No.
Now, you'll always get the issue that you can't do anything
you
about.
Can't do anything. You get these oddball things. Like, I remember I had a calf last year, Wayne, and they got, do you know, that B1 deficiency. So that looks like meningitis.
Yeah.
And by the time you know that that's an issue, there's nothing you can do anyway.
No,
They're
too
going
late.
around in a bloody circle, their head is stretched back, and at that point all you can do is euthanize it, like.
Yeah.
Because
it's like a friend of mine said with goats, especially. Goats are, you know,
they're alive or dead. They're like sheep.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't get sick. They're either alive or dead, and that's it.
He said it. He says, if you have a sick goat, you have a dead goat.
Yeah, but that's all. Like, that's the reality.
There's very little can be
they're very
done.
weak.
So
Like,
yeah.
And horses are the same way as well. Like, a horse get colic, he could be dead in a matter of no time. But in fairness, cattle are reasonably hardy. Like, unless they get something in the brain or in the lung or whatever you want to say, like that. Well, pull through, like.
Well, the truth of the matter too is, like, you have breeds that are native to Ireland that are designed for Ireland, and I think a lot of the issues are coming in from bringing in the continental breeding for performance. You know, they do get bigger, they do get stronger, all the rest of it. But they're not used to Irish weather, and I don't think
it's the rain. It's the rain that kills them. Like, you look at all the Holstein. Like, you'll see a lot of fields down my way now, and it'll be all like Holstein, Frisian bullocks and bulls out in kale fields and stuff like that. And when it's dry, they're thriving.
Yes.
But when it's wet, they're nearly dying.
Well, you see,
because they've no fat in them. Like, you'll see them all. They'll be all huddled in a corner like emperor penguins. Yeah. And the lads will say, that's great for them out there. And I'd be looking at them. They're healthy. And I'd be looking and go, them poor cunts is perished. Like, do you know?
Yeah. It's a funny one. But a lot of the population of Ireland that isn't involved in farming, I don't think they realise the employment it's creating.
No,
do you know?
No.
Like,
but that 50 quid travels so far. Like.
Oh, that's 100%. If you give a farmer, you see, people think this.
Yeah, but this is it. Like, if you wrote a blue initials on a 50 and just gave it to Timmy for his milk check, right?
Yeah,
that's yours, Timmy.
Yeah.
Timmy's going to go down to Nora in the shop. He buys the bread, he buys the cheese and the butter, right?
Yeah.
Nora goes and she probably gets the coal from the co-op that she resells at her little shop, right? The co-op then is paying for something, the lad who's bringing in the corn from out the road. Like, that 50 is going around and around and around.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even leave agricultural hands in some sense.
No.
You know?
And, like, the aspect of it, that's a very good way of putting it. But there's entire industries that are based on the farmer's back.
Oh, yeah, there is. Yeah.
And people think that if they there's this misconception. They think that all these farmers are hoarding money and they have loads of money. Oh, listen, mate. That farmer more than likely has payments on the vast majority of stuff that you see him with.
The way I'd explain this to people, and I don't want to like overstep from my work job or anything, but like I know from my job, I'm out in farms all day, every day.
Yeah.
Big farms, small farms, hobby farms, whatever. We would see an awful lot of post-dated checks, right? And people think that like you've nearly 200 Joe, say, right?
Yeah.
Between whatever yourself and whatever. They think that you will like a couple of grand in the bank there from sending all them lambs and this, that, and the other. That's not the case, because when you get that payment, and it's no different if you were me, so up to doing the beef boxes, I was selling cattle once a year.
Yeah.
I'm dependent of a very lucky day at the mart,
Yeah.
or a very bad day, whatever way it goes.
Yeah.
And that dictates then how I pay my bills that got me to that day.
Yeah.
So there's a fertilizer bill.
Yeah.
And especially when you're like me, I'm not trying to take away from anyone, but like I started with nothing but a bloody wheelbarrow. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not like what was your man called, Bill Griffin? You know, walking to school in his bare feet. Like, I'm not trying to get that story, but like I bought a land and I had a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
You know, and when people don't realise the advantage you're at it. Even if your father had an old 135, and there was only 40 bales left in the shed when he passed, and there was a crush, and there was things like this. You're already so far ahead of me.
But sure, I admit that totally myself. The place that I had here was my uncle's.
Yeah,
you know? And
infrastructure is like...
Oh, it's massive. Because when we came here, now the house was in bad order, but the farm was fenced. There was a cattle pen done. You know, there was a bit of stock on the land. You in that kind of setting, you're just kind of moving in at a point and saying, how do I take it forward from here?
But what I was trying to say there is, like, you know, people think that they have all this money. Farmers don't have money. It's like saying you're in the ocean and you have a heap of water. Yeah. You have a heap of salt water. Yeah. They have a heap of assets, but they have no money. They have no liquid cash, a lot of them. No. They are going milk check to milk check or beef check to beef check. Yeah. Like, at least the milk boys are getting paid every month. The average beef farmer gets paid 2 to 3 times a year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
On his sale days, or he goes to the factory, or whatever his particular enterprise is like. Yeah. And he's living on tick, a lot of them.
Well, only for, like, I don't think a lot of people might realise this, but a lot of farmers will deal with a cooperative that they buy the nuts
off. On a credit
off
system, and that's it.
That money is built up.
And don't forget that they're charging serious credit on that.
That's right, they're charging interest on it.
Like, the interest, like, I know myself, I have a co-op bill there at the moment now, and I'd be very good. I have a lot of bills. Yeah. But I pay it all off.
Yes,
like every week. Like every week I have, it might be only a small amount, but they're still getting it, and any company's happy to deal with me. Like, I paid for a lot of things the last few years, and I'm talking 25 quid a week. Mm-hmm. But they were very happy to take it, and if I had a lump sum, I gave it to them when I had it. And I've had a lot of help from crowds that way, but like, I'd always say to guys too, always try and negotiate them things. Yeah. Don't ever think that you're going to just somehow gather up 3 or 4 grand on the mantelpiece. Yeah. Because you're not. Like, every time you have it gathered, the gearbox is going to go on the van, or something's going to take it. So just stay giving them, just ask them to set up a direct debit system with you. They'll take 25 quid a week over nothing. Yeah.
But this is one of the things, I do notice that most, when I was growing up, we'll say, especially around here, most of the farms were kind of multiple enterprise.
Yeah.
It
was beef, sheep, and a few cows, and they might have been milking 10 cows as well on a bucket, like.
Whereas now it's completely specialised.
Yeah. So well, you're you pick the one apple tart, and that's your fingers in that, and you're stuck in that. Yeah. There's very few big mixed farms anymore.
No, there isn't. No.
Like, like I grew up, say, with my uncle there now. My uncle would have killed a couple of the cattle. He'd, maybe nearly 100 sucklers and 150 ewes and that kind of thing. And those numbers that fluctuate. He could have more, sometimes he could have less. Yeah. He was breeding horses there for national hunt and stuff like that as well. Yeah. That was a great trade once upon a time. Then it was a very bad trade. Yeah. It's kind of okay at the moment, though. I know trade ain't great this year. It's kind of middling. But like, that was a very much a normal mixed farm of that size at the time, like. Mm-hmm. And even going back a little bit further, like, they had a fully functioning garden.
Yes.
Like, my nanny was a serious woman for gardening, but like, not just pretty flowers, like
Yes.
edible garden,
Yeah.
pigs, chickens, geese, ducks. Like I can remember, you know, doing geese for her before and literally getting a broom handle and you put it down over the goose's neck and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and you'd be doing all that kind of, like it was, they once upon a time were self-sufficient.
Well, that's what
And they
we're
were brought
trying to do.
away from being self-sufficient.
Yes.
And now you see it's trying to come back into trend and we don't even have them now to reach back on and ask them a question about it.
Well, that's what I want to kind of establish here is, we're working on it at the moment, is I like the idea of permaculture and regenerative farming. I like it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people at the moment who are beginning to talk about it and they're not listening to
The realities.
the realities of life and the
But
expertise from
can
years
I ask
ago.
you, but like, I think it's nice if anyone wants to be organic
Yeah.
or regenerative or whatever. The issues I have with it is when you start going down the line of what your restrictions are,
Yeah.
what you have to sign up for,
Yeah.
it's getting too complicated.
Well, I'm not organic and I won't be.
No, neither will I. And
No.
people always ask me, so your beef is organic? No, I said if it was organic, I'd advertise it as organic.
Yeah.
It's just grass-fed beef.
Yeah.
And my farming practice is very simple. It's just common sense.
Yeah.
If an animal gets sick,
Yes.
I will cure it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'll do whatever needs to be done. I only give them, like, say, Animec once, say, twice a year.
Yeah.
Normally going in and going out. That's when I do it.
You see, the organic regulations in Ireland, they take their kind of hint from Europe. Now, I'm very sorry to say it, I'm on a farm in the west coast of Ireland, Sligo here. Brussels and the land around Brussels is a little bit different to what I have here. Do you
I
know?
don't understand what's going up around here.
Well, as I says, there's days here now, and you would feel like throwing your hat at it and
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
"Jesus Christ,
I'm
will
the same.
will
I'm
the sun
100% the
ever
same.
come out?"
Yeah.
But what I've taken from the way I'm trying to establish it is, and it's on the money side. So I have me hens up there. I have me honesty box of that. Mightn't be a lot of money, but it's weekly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
there weekly.
Yeah.
Then you get into the pig side of it. 2-3 months. There,
Yeah.
2 or 3
Pigs
months.
and
as I
chickens are
say.
great turnover. Like,
Yeah. Then we have the kind of vegetables and the apples and stuff like that. Bit of tourism. All of those multiple enterprises, all of a sudden you end up with a kind of a cash flow that's more spread out during the year. But you still have, like, this is still a sheep farm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, your prime is sheep. Like.
It's a sheep farm.
But again, sheep are still, they're nicer, quicker turnover.
There
in
than the
comparison to
cattle is, right,
Cattle
yeah.
are like growing trees.
Yes, yeah.
Like in reality, like if you wanted to say you're going to be a suckler farmer and you're going to kill, we'll say cattle that would be factory suitable.
Yes.
So cattle up on 800 kilos, right?
Yeah.
Like you'd be as well off planting a fucking orchard because caver down, and realistically, if you want to get them big bullocks that are going to weigh,
Costs money.
you're talking 30, 32, 36 months, some of them. Like,
Yeah.
so there are a lot of the cattle, like in some of the feedlots, are big ages. Like,
Yeah.
people don't, like, everyone's talking about this 16 months and 24 months
Yeah.
and stuff. You see some of the cattle, they're big ages. Like, the lads don't mind leaving them on. Like,
Yeah.
look how long of an investment that is.
Well, you see,
It's nearly
that's
3 years, like.
you see, that's the trouble with it.
And the bill that's behind them is big, like.
Oh, it's outrageous. And then the most depressing thing of the whole lot is the one that goes down.
Yeah.
I always remember that when we were kids.
Yeah.
You'd lose a lamb. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not happy about
Yeah,
it.
No.
Fucking not happy, you know?
But you don't lose a bad one.
No, it's always a good lamb. But what I'm saying is there was a checklist.
Yeah.
You know, the lamb, oh, we'll deal with it. Sheep, oh God,
Yeah.
not great. Calf,
Yeah.
and God forgive me if a cow went.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but
No,
that's it.
touch wood.
Yeah.
But I knew we had so few cattle that if one of them had went, we were in serious bother.
Yeah, you weren't bothered, yeah.
Do you know? It wasn't just one of those, welcome to the will of God, and that was trouble because you had that cow, maybe in calf or with calf and foot or that.
Yeah.
You had a lot of money tied up.
Yeah.
Do you know? And things wasn't as great in Ireland at that time. Do you know? And
But people just don't realise. Like, just to give people at home, like, we could talk up it very quick there. Like, if you say 80 bullocks, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you bought them as suck calves and
Yeah.
whatever. by the time they go to the factory, we'll just average it off that they're going to, there's going to be 160 grand involved in that kitty.
Yeah.
That's the reality,
Yeah.
right? If we will just be really, we'll go a bit extreme that they're going to make 2 grand a piece.
Yeah.
So that's 160 grand has had to be turned over for nearly 3 years.
Yeah.
How much is that profit, James?
0.
Could be going the other way. It could be going minus for all you know. But like, okay, you may know they're going to make an average of maybe 15 to 1900. We'll just say that's kind of their averaging or whatever, right? But like, why is there profit in it? How many lads are going to be honest about their profit in it?
No. There's a big thing and nobody speaks about it at all. Absolutely nobody sits down with a pen and paper and writes the money they've made,
Truthfully.
divided by the hours they've spent at it.
Yeah.
Nobody does it.
No. Or travelling to do the herding or do whatever. Yeah. But
Because I seen my mum, God bless her, done it years ago. She started doing right good record keeping. Very good record keeping. And the profit that was made, she put down my hours, Dad's hours, her hours, Ellen's hours. I think we were on 33 cents an hour.
if you were lucky.
I think that was the figure she came up with.
Yeah.
And she says, that couldn't be right. I mean, Dad is good at maths. He went, no, he says,
That's right.
that's right. So it is. And nobody does that.
No.
They don't put down their hours,
no,
you know. Now,
But some lads are terrible. Like I meet an awful lot of lads. Like, and they be, I'm up at 6 o'clock every morning, and they're still at it at 10 o'clock at night. But like, they're making it hard for themselves. Do you know, like they are making it hard for them. They drag out the day. They don't treat it like a job.
yeah,
And look, we all do farming, and like I'm purely doing it for the love of it.
Yeah.
You are to an element as well. Like,
no,
cause
completely.
Because you're working, and you know what I mean. And like, but what I'm saying is like they drag out their day.
Yeah,
Instead of treating it like a job and say, right, look, I'm going to be in the yard at 9 at the latest.
yeah,
Or 9:30, whatever suits you, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm gone out here at 6.
yeah,
And I think, especially if you've dry stock, that should be more than feasible. Like,
Yeah.
why any lad who's not working maybe
yeah,
and is at home full time and is still out pricking around the shed at 9 or 10 o'clock at night and
Yeah.
the yard is a fucking tip
yeah.
is beyond me.
Well, there's plenty of fellas that likes doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I'd see men who come home from work in the evening, and it's totally understandable. Every light in the yard is on their feet and silence.
Yeah, no, but that's different, you know.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these fellas that are at home,
And
and
they're
they seem
doing
to
it
wait until
until
the
night time.
evening
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
I never understood it.
Yeah, but you see
there
them everywhere. Like you know
Oh,
exactly what
yeah,
I'm on about.
yeah.
But it's funny, like a lot of farms I go out to say during the day, the part-time guys, everything's bang, bang, bang. They're
Yeah.
organised. Like
Yeah.
they know that that's there, this is here.
Yeah.
Because everything's efficiency with them because
Has to be.
they're already doing a fucking day's work.
Yeah.
So they have 2 hours. Like a lot of lads probably have to dedicate 2 hours in the morning before they go to work.
Yeah.
At least, unless they've everything in sheds and the bales thrown in the night before and all that kind of crack, which a lot of lads are good for. But you may call it minimum. It's a 2 hour a day at either end of the day, so it's 4 hours a day dedication of your time.
Yeah.
You're doing probably 8 hours at your job.
Yeah.
Leave out travel time. Like the average guy who's part-time farming and working is putting in a 16-hour day.
Yeah. Well, sure, I was only chatting to a man the other day, and he says, how's things going? And I says, isn't it a sad reality when you have to have a full-time job to be a part-time farmer?
But that's the reality. Like.
That's the reality.
That's
Like,
the reality for me. Like my job is paid for this place the last few years. Like
there's a, how do I say it? The home place there, we'd have a nice, tidy farmyard, and you know here isn't so bad either. And
no, hey, I want to say that to people. You lovely place outside. We done the grand tour this morning. No.
it's not too bad. It's more to be done with it. But farming has not put that there.
No.
It hasn't.
No, and it's
Do you
not.
know?
And not be funny. It's not going to.
No, it won't. It's
No.
right. It's
Like-
like Darren there. Do you know the pens and the poultry pens and all that? Do you know? The poultry doesn't justify that.
No, they don't.
Do you know? It's
It's
just
like people look at my fencing or anything that's above the house, or they're like, "Why didn't you put up a cattle shed?" And I was like, "Right, go into the credit union, tell them you have 6 cows, and sometimes you keep yours, and everything you have is just an expense. It's not an asset, right?
Yeah.
And tell them you want, like, I'm not being funny. You wouldn't build a small slide shed for 50 grand now." Mm-hmm. I said, and they're going to base that repayment off what 6 cows can do, not off your job.
yeah. Yeah.
So you're actually not even eligible for a loan. This is what a lot of people don't even realise now. You know, and I've had this conversation with lots of lending institutions and whatever, like, is how do I go about putting up a shed?
Yeah.
Like, I have no bother paying for it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's going to be a bother to pay for it, but, like, I will pay for it, whatever it takes.
Well, what they'll be looking for is the deeds as collateral against
Yeah,
it.
but they want all these things, right? But I'm just to explain to guys, like, it's not that simple.
No.
Like, it's just not. Like, it's like the tractor thing. Like, the amount of lads who message my page why don't you have a tractor? Why don't you buy a tractor?
Well, you can't
I said,
justify it.
Tell me how you buy a tractor.
Yeah.
Okay, because number one, you can't get a finance on one over 10 years old.
Yes.
So without finance, I said, if you got 25 grand in your back pocket, and they'll say, you don't need that. But what's the point in paying 10 grand for a shit one?
Yeah.
Like, if I was to go out and buy one in the morning, I want to buy a 4-wheel drive 85 to 110 horsepower tractor with a loader.
Yeah.
Anything to me other than that is a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not funny. Buying a 135,
Yeah.
great. It's a glorified quad.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, you're as well to have something that serves you to some point.
Yeah.
Do you know, so, like, I always mess with them. I was like, oh, I'm holding out for a 390. Like, good luck trying to buy a 390 at the moment. Like, they're 30 grand.
Money.
Like,
They're woeful money.
but, you know, lads can dream and whatever. But that's the kind of thing you're looking for. But they don't realise that this was, sure, I bought a tractor when I took over. Yeah, but you had a tractor to trade in.
Mm-hmm. Big thing.
It's a big difference,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Well, we're running 2 places at the moment with the one, which is the
With the cases outside. Yeah.
Case JX70 4-wheel drive.
100%.
Nice tractor, you know. But I'm funny with that because I reckon I do be around the country and I do see a lot of machinery and I do look at it and think that's not justified.
No, a lot of it
whatsoever.
isn't. No, it's not.
Do you know?
No.
And look at anybody who wants to pay off for it and have it fair. As I do say about everything, you do you, whatever, whatever you want to do. Yeah. But when you get down to and this is the one thing that, you know, a lot of people gets on to me about farming issues, and I think we all have to take a long look. There's an awful lot of us, and it's more like a disease than anything else, you know. Yeah. Like, I love going back to fields. I love doing a fence. I love, in the summertime, having a festival, inviting people on. Nothing pleases me more than to see all the grass green, animals eating it, people coming, oh, Jesus, that's lovely, all the rest of it. Yeah. But the truth of the matter is, it's not viable.
No, it's not viable. No.
And
I always tell people, like, I have a house and a big garden.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember my dad, like, when I was looking at buying places and stuff, and he goes, this, like, he said, I asked somebody about this, like, this isn't going to work, like, this is not justifiable, Maurice, to do this and whatever. And I was like, yeah, but I said, I can't look at it like it's a business. Yeah. You have to just, like, I have to look at this as, it's a house with a big garden, and the garden gives you opportunities. Yeah. And if you can play with the opportunities, great. And if you can't, buy a big lawnmower, and that's it.
And you see,
and like, I would do that. Like, I had always said there was a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the 6th year now, and I think I know my plan.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot of spanners in the works for it and everything.
Yeah.
But, like, I would be pretty confident in saying it either works now in the next couple of years, or if it doesn't, I will just buy a big ride-on lawnmower. Yeah. And I'll just clip the whole place, top to bottom, keep the pond nice. Yeah. That's it. Because it actually, the reality is, and guys I think are really coming to the knowledge of this, it's not worth it.
Well, I seen there was
even though you love it, you have to sometimes acknowledge yourself and say, you're literally either burning money, or you're burning your time, you're getting upset over things, you're frustrated. Like, you know yourself, like, you go home and there's things wrong, or you can get very, I'm not going to say depressed, but you get cross, like. Yeah. And you're like, what is the fucking point? Like?
Oh, it's on. Well, you take this little stable, for instance, or that brand new roof, plastered, a lot of work done with it. And I remember when I first was looking at what I'd do with it, I had to get a new roof. And it was my dad, he said, a nice little shed for suck calves or that, you know. And I says, it would, is right, yeah. And he says, you could make a little lambing shed out of it and that. And you just look at the financial viability of it. And then I went, you know what I'll do with that? I'll slap 3 beds in it and I'll call it an Airbnb. That was the sign up there, chalk bow.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it took off. And, Jesus Christ, it was mighty. Good money every week and all the rest of it. And the only reason I really stopped the Airbnb was I got a little bit concerned when the government were beginning to take old buildings and turn them into kind of places for refugees and that. And I thought, any day they could turn around to Airbnb and say, we're just going to book all the facilities for such a period of time. No, as I was wrong.
You were wrong, yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is the silly things that nobody wants to do, there's a bit of money in them.
There is, yeah.
But the way conventional agriculture has gone is that unless you're in it at a very large scale,
huge,
and it has to be a very large scale. And I think our age group, me and you, I have another mate down the road there, is at the same thing. I think we're probably the last ones that will justify, I love that.
That want to do it
in
that capacity,
Yeah. Because I know, talking to younger ones, that you'll see them all at the ploughing, they'll all buy the O'Neill shirt and they'll have the boots on for the day. They don't want it.
No, they don't want to do it.
You know?
No.
You don't want at night sitting down with a pen and paper and figuring out, well, actually, is this working?
Yeah. But sure, a lot of the time, I'm not being funny, you don't need the pen and paper. That's how obvious it is. It's not working.
Oh, it is. That's why the pen and paper doesn't come out.
You don't need it, like.
No. It's like I had, and I had a bit of admiration for him years ago. He was a big enough farmer that, and his filing system was anytime he bought something, he'd ball up the receipt, and in the Jeep there was 2 bags. There was the money in and the money out.
Yeah.
He'd ball up the receipt, fire it in like that, and then he'd land into the Teagasc office one year and he'd hand this big bag, which was the money out, and then the couple of checks along with it, and square that circle for me. And then he'd just walk out. And if he could keep going, that was the main thing. He didn't pass any heat of it, you know. Have you heard of a man called Jerry Loftus? He's from Mayo. He's running for the election.
I'm sure I'd recognise the face.
Yeah, you should. Some of the stuff he puts out is very good. He's very realistic. He is. You know, I like listening to him on agriculture because he's realistic. So he is. There's a couple that I like, you know, to listen to.
But see, this is the thing though as well, James. Like, everyone's idealistic, but they're not realistic. Like, okay, we're not going to pick on him now because you and me might never stop. We went at him, but like Eamon Ryan, like all his pipe dreams about Ireland, they're idealistic. They're not fucking realistic.
No, but at the same token, people would think about me that all I'd ever do is give out about him. Do you know what I mean? But some of the schemes, I can only talk for the west of Ireland.
Yeah.
Some of the schemes, there's people up here, and they were very happy with them.
Yeah.
Because they had a place that had been neglected for years, annuals, and all of a sudden, here's a scheme. And the thing I didn't like about that, and I'll be truthful about it, was if you had been trying all these years, you were draining it, you were fencing it, you were doing your bit of spraying, you were trying to keep the rushes back, the whole lot of it. And then all of a sudden, at the latter end of it, your man down the road that sported the fucking high stool and let it go, he was rewarded. And I was looking at this thinking, that's horrible. Because you have all these men who've done the right thing, and then they were told, now, if you start letting your place go a little bit, we'll pay for it. But the fellow who walked in and went, my place is already gone. Oh, you'll get top marks. Biodiversity. Oh, you probably have rabbits and everything living there. Do you know?
Like I was always the one to say that organics and biodiversity and regen farming it was payments for lazy farmers, like. But that's how we viewed it. Like the lad with the green paddocks, I always just said, sure, he's just lazy going. Yeah,
but you see, the whole regenerative thing, I wouldn't write it off just yet.
I don't write it off. Like, I'm not coming down. I'm just being a little bit of the devil's advocate against
the ones I'm looking into, Joel Salatin, Richard Perkins.
Yeah.
They're making small farms work.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
And profitably.
Yeah.
Do you know?
But you'd have to highlight, like, the likes of Perkins had to move to a very specific location.
He did, yeah.
To make his farming clock work, we'll say.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
But you see, there's two sides of that too. It's in Sweden or that.
Yeah.
That's benefiting him because he has the short farming season.
Yeah.
And then he's going around the world
for the off
season, telling people.
Whereas all these volunteers and like he's the thing seriously well done.
Very well done. Very well done.
Cahill above there in
Donegal,
in Heatherhill Farm.
I watch his videos.
He's kind of a protege of Perkins, I think.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. Like I think Cahill used to have about 10.5 acres. I think starting off. I don't know if he's still at that, but like he's making an income off that.
That's right.
So really, he's laughing at you and me who are still trying to go the conventional route.
Well, you see, I'm not. I
know, but we'll just say in the grand scheme, like say you still have yours.
Oh, I do, yeah.
Like you're lambing
and
yours.
And will always.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Or like I'm calving cows or whatever, but like, by right, I have the same size place as him.
Yeah.
But I just haven't the green fingers or the interest in some ways.
Yeah.
Do you know?
But there's a thing that I don't think a lot of people appreciate. There's an awful lot of young people who would love to get involved, but there's absolutely no firm opening for them to get involved.
No, there's not. No.
Do you know, like one of the things I had here a couple of times or that is people who were at the festival or that, and I'd give them a call and say, listen, doing such a job, would you want to come on? Oh, no bother at all. Can't wait. But the farming community as well, it's a funny thing. There's other people who are interested in agriculture and they just write them off as kind of, he's away with it. Organic, is it? And no, I'm not talking to him. And them is the people who are worth talking to.
Oh, they are, yeah.
Because I brought a guy up to David Cuddy, Darren and myself would know him, Gareth is his name. Grows all his own food, has his box outside the front, he's selling his own food from it. He's making his income from the farm.
Yeah.
You know, might be a small place,
I know.
but he's generating an income from it. Whereas an awful lot of people, myself included, are working to upgrade it a bit. But this is the one thing, and I will say it, is unless you're working, you know, as a young person, even if you inherit it, unless you're working, it's very hard to make it work.
You won't, no.
You need a full-time job to be a part-time farmer.
You do, yeah. But that's
let me move on. I want to talk to you about the whole Trump World War III situation.
Jesus, huh? I wonder how's his ear.
I don't think he was shot at all.
Oh, do you? Oh, geez, we're going in the deep end here now.
I don't think he was shot. I think there was a blood pack behind it.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Maybe it was just an air rifle. Maybe they just nicked him.
No, I don't think so. You couldn't be that bad of a shot.
Was there some kind of symbolism in it all, wasn't there?
There was. Well, I tell you, if it's one of the Jewish holy books, and I can't remember, is it the Talmud or the Torah, but one of them, it says, for the servant to remain with his master, he must be pierced in the
right
left
ear.
Yes.
Is it the right ear he got shot, wasn't it?
But it's the ear he got shot in.
Yeah.
And if you look into the amount of money that the Israeli political pact, and he didn't need the money, but they donated it anyways or that. And
the Palestine crew are going to love you with this rabbit hole.
Huh?
The Palestine crew are going to love you with this particular rabbit hole.
Well, I don't mind. I just call it
I know
I see it.
I'm just thinking, do you know?
That's it, yeah.
It's a matter of an opinion.
That's it. Well, you see, I think you can get stuck that people think, oh, you're this way or that. And with me, you don't know how I am. I just look at it and say, see
I'm
that.
very much the same way, but people are always like, you know, like they hyper focus on, well, you said this, so you must believe this, or you think this. It's like, I'm just saying it.
Well, it's like, you know, one of the things that me, as you know, he's a rampant homophobe. And then I'd say, you were surprised last night.
No, but I wouldn't be at all, because I'd be very much the same as you. We were in a pub last night.
Yeah, it was a man who was quite clearly of the other persuasion.
Oh, yes. He had a beautiful voice, James.
He was woeful.
He
crack.
sounded
and a
like
nice fella.
Oh, nice fella.
Yeah.
He told us he liked bad boys like
he
us.
Did, yeah.
He said, you're the kind of bad boy I like.
Yeah. That was good old crack. So it was. Then that other place we were in when your man came in dressed as Jimmy Savile.
Oh, Jesus, stop.
That was rough enough now.
No, Jimmy Savile now.
Jimmy Savile made an appearance last night, Darren. In the flesh, as the man says.
So apparently Jimmy Savile is hiding out here in Sligo.
Yeah, that's it. He still has the cigar.
That was frightening. The look-alikeness of that now.
But sure, it looked exactly like... Yeah. I must find out, can I get a picture? It was... Listen, I wouldn't wear the costume, but it was very well done.
It was very well done.
He looked exactly like it. But anyways, back to Trump.
Yeah.
I think a rake of people thinks he's going to be the saviour and all this. But if you look at the people that he's elected to the positions with regard to war and that, they're all war hawks. They're going to re-strengthen the army, and I don't see them pulling back from Ukraine. I don't see them pulling back from Iran or any of these places. I don't see it.
I think you'd be right in saying that, but like a lot of people look at the end of the day, people don't really look. It is all a circus.
It is, yeah.
And at the end of the day, myself and yourself, if people want to put us in that box, we got the clown we wanted.
Yeah.
Because that to an element suits our narrative.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Like, people get very upset when you say you support Trump or something like that, but I say, like, look at my option.
Yeah.
I'm not obviously an American voter or anything, but like as an onlooker,
Yeah.
your onlook is Kamala Harris, Biden, all those deranged and deluded people that follow them.
Yeah.
Or there's Trump, and we'll call the Bible states.
Yes.
And the strong centre of what American culture is.
Yeah.
Right? And that puts families first and puts kids first and puts a bit of nationality to the whole thing. And like, as an Irish man, of course I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
Because that goes with my values.
Yeah.
I don't think he's great. It doesn't mean that he's a good businessman.
Yeah.
He's all them things. Is he a bit questionable throughout the 90s and the noughties and what he got
Oh,
up
he
to?
is, certainly.
I'm sure he's a dog. I don't doubt it for a second. Like.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he is actually good for America.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a lot better for diplomatic relations and,
Yeah.
you know, like, it's very much a thing in this day and age that if I don't like you, I can't talk to you.
Yeah.
And this is the fucking problem, like.
Yeah.
And they think that governments and world leaders, because they don't like each other or something, that they shouldn't engage. You have to engage. The bigger the problem, the more you have to engage with each other and try and sort it out. Like,
Yeah.
like a lot of the lefties in America, they're like, he shouldn't be talking to Putin.
Yeah. Well, how do you solve it then?
How the fuck do you solve it? And you have to remember, he's the only one that Putin really respects.
Well, you see, I think that Putin was in an element with him that he was a total unknown.
Yeah, Putin was afraid of him, truthfully.
I think he was afraid of how likely he was
yeah.
to retaliate.
Yeah, because he knew he was a man of action, you see.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
But now, this time, he's speaking about him in a better light.
Yeah.
And I reckon that's because Putin has probably said, well, there was 4 years there where there was peace. And then there was 4 years where there's been all of these problems. And Putin would probably feel that he was backed into a corner, that he had to do something.
He was, though. Like, look at all the money that America gave Zelensky. And
Yeah, it goes back
way
further
you
than that.
may know it goes way back further than that, but we'll just say for the people a bit more basic here listening, and I'm not trying to insult you, but just bear with us, that like there was Irish people here trying to justify the amount of money we were giving Zelensky.
Yeah.
And you could not drive it home to them.
Well, I don't think people know the extent of Ukraine, if you were in criminality, was one of the world locations where you laundered money. You know,
And don't forget, it's the breadbasket of Europe.
that's right. Yeah, but you have Ukraine from 2010 until probably 2019, even with the 2014. See, people as well. Well, when did the Ukraine war start? It started in 2014.
Yeah.
It was 2014 that the Russians went into Crimea. But all of those years, Ukraine was listed as the most corrupt country in the world. And that takes doing
it does,
to be the most corrupt country in the
Because
world.
Ireland's ranked 17 at the moment.
Is it 17?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting up there now, so it is.
Yeah.
And you turn to a global population and say, listen, the most corrupt country in the world has been invaded. We need to send them money. And the population goes, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ. It doesn't... Like, Victor Boot, have you ever seen the film Lord of War?
Yes.
Yeah. It's based on him, Ukrainian. Then there was another... He was the head of the Russian mob or the Ukrainian people. They don't want to talk about that.
No, they don't. No.
And that doesn't mean that I don't have empathy for... Do you know, I actually met a fella there in Drumore West one night. His wife came over here to Ireland initially. And then he joined her not so long ago. I was chatting to him. I said, you know, what's going on or that? And he says, well, I was in the army. And wherever they were on the Eastern Front, they were surrounded. And he says, our backup artillery or that. He says they abandoned us, they left us. So he said the Russians came in and, you hear all these stories about they done this, that and the other. He says there was only 3 or 4 of us. We were told, go home.
Yeah. Just pack up and
go home.
Yeah.
You're fucked. Your backup is gone.
Yeah.
Just leave.
Yeah.
So he said, he says, we were praying. He says, we thought we'd be taken prisoners or that, but it turned out it was just 4 young fellas who just went, just leave.
Yeah.
Just go. And now he's here. And I don't blame him. He's joined his wife. He tried fighting. He realised I was an inch from dying, and nice fella. Very good welder. Very good welder. And see, that's one of the things, there's your genuine case.
Yeah, there's your genuine case.
But
see, the one thing they never highlighted here is they never highlighted all the religious unrest that was in Ukraine.
Oh, yeah.
And the carry-on that Zelensky's crew were at out there, like.
Well, Zelensky, from my knowledge, was coming down very hard on the Orthodoxy church and that.
So, like, that's what people here just didn't understand, like, because it was a Ukrainian man explained that to me.
Yeah.
He goes, you don't get it. He said, it's somewhat of a purge out there at the minute, like.
Yeah.
He said, it's no different, he said, than Palestine and Israel, like. He said, it's that just in a different location.
Yeah.
He said, they want the Orthodox out.
Yeah.
He said, and I'm trying to remember exactly what he said now, but like basically the Orthodox to the regular Ukrainian is Russian.
Yes.
That's how they view them.
Yeah.
So they want them out.
Yeah.
And, so on and so forth. Like, look, you probably watched Putin's interview that time. It explains a lot.
Yeah,
of
with
all that
Tucker
trouble
Carlson.
Yeah.
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 But all of these conflicts going on all around the world, an awful lot of people don't know any history of any description.
But they don't want to educate themselves on it either.
No, but will you take a thing like World War II when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor? Well, what people don't realise is that without America entering the Second World War, the Allied forces would have lost.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And without Russia and America, Europe would have been German.
But look at the Americans, how they receive their history. Like, have you ever talked to some...
Well, that was the point I was getting at. Yeah. Pearl Harbor, nobody talks about the year before that when America, because Japan went into Indochina or something, was nothing to do with America whatsoever. No. America goes, all right, well, we're sanctioning you. And then Britain goes, are you sanctioning them? We'll sanction them too.
Yeah.
Holland, Dutch East Indies and all that, sanctioned them. So Japan, all of a sudden, who imported 100% of their oil, had 80-something% stopped.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
So they were left in a position where they went, well, if we don't take over Asia, we're not going to survive.
No, we're not going to survive.
So then the attack happened on America. Nobody talks about that period of time that happened before us.
It's fabricated favoritism.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, if you're victorious, you write the history.
Yeah,
that's
but
all
like, especially in America, like when you talk to, it's always funny how when you talk to, we'll say, intelligent Americans, they're very acknowledgeable of how biased their school system is in what it teaches regards history. Like they're pretty ignorant when it comes to world affairs. And it doesn't take you long to realise that when you talk to a lot of them.
Yeah.
I would have found that now when I was in Canada. There was a good few Americans up around us, or like a lot of the Canadian guys on the work sites were in college in America because maybe they had hockey scholarships or things like that.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, man, they're so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
He's like, they don't know where anything is.
Well, the other side of it too, I was chatting to an American fellow in England one time, and I thought he made a fair enough point. He said, you're concerned about world politics because there's F all happening in your own country.
That's true too.
And I went, it was a bit hurtful. But then I thought about it and I went, he's on to something there. So you think of America, you have California, Florida, New York, all the agriculture in the middle, and then time zones, different...
You could never be bored out there if you wanted.
Not at all.
Stuff, no.
Like if you think about a simple thing like terrain, you have desert, frozen areas, mountains, you have every kind of terrain. Then down to Florida, it's tropical enough. You have the Everglades, all of that. Yeah. It's such a diverse country. And I thought what your man said was a valid enough point that he went, we don't get concerned about world affairs personally because we have enough going on.
Yeah.
So like, it's funny though when you see the likes of the interviewers going around with a map.
Yeah.
And, you know, what do you think of the war in Afghanistan? Oh, got to get the Taliban men.
Yeah.
You might just do me a favour. You might point to it there. They don't know.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird that.
I could the best story about Americans and maps. Myself and one of the lads when we were in Canada, I'd say it was our first or second night out there. We were literally sitting in a bar, in an Irish bar, on I think it was Granville Street in Vancouver, and we were just sitting there. Two women sat down. Now we weren't really engaging with them; they were doing their own thing. And one of them asked us for maybe a lighter or something, whatever. And they were American. She said, "Where are you from?" And I was Ireland. He was Ireland, right? I go, "Where's that?"
Didn't know.
And me and him looked at each other. We were like, "It's a country."
Yeah.
And we were like, "What kind of bar are you in?" They're going, "It's an Irish bar." Okay. What's Irish? She goes, "I don't know. It's a type of bar."
That's deadly serious.
But the sympathy in me was going, "Oh God, love you, are a goldfish." I was like, "There's a map of Ireland up in the wall." I said, "What's that there?" She goes, "I don't know." I was like, "That's a country. That's Ireland." No. I was like, "Where do you think Irish people come from?" She didn't even have an answer. I remember me and him sitting there like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, it's. But do you know something? And I do often look at it. You know, some of those wind up being really influential people.
But that's
you know?
But sure, that's where they are. Like,
it's crazy. Like Harris there, the fact that lady was running for the most powerful position in the world was frightening to me. Absolutely frightening. Now, I know there'll be some people who think the exact same thing about Trump, you know. But it's the truth. Like, you know, democracy really. First of all, democracy or politics or any of those things is a show.
Oh, yeah.
So as I think I might have said it last night. There's the stage. The politicians is on the stage. They're your actors. The ones who are telling the actors to do are there behind the scenes. They're the ones in the lobby or that. And the people are the audience. They're watching this. Yeah. But the fellow who's running the show is not the show.
No, he's not.
He's not there. And people thinks he's the director, he's that. No, he's not there.
But again, people are looking at leaders who are educated instead of intelligent.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of it. Like, everyone, like a lot of the people you meet, they're good jobs, whatever. They're educated, but they're not intelligent.
No. And there's another side to it too.
They're connected.
They're very heavily connected.
Yeah. But I mean, even closer to you and me, like, there could be people we went to school with.
Yeah.
Who now have good jobs and whatever, and you meet them. There's not a whole lot of substance to them, I find.
No.
They're intelligent, they're educated, but they are not intelligent.
No.
They have a limited 3 topics they can talk about.
Yeah.
There's only so far they can go with them topics. And then anything after that is, we're not talking about it.
No. And there's another side to it too,
and that's even if they talk to you and me in public.
Well, if you had gone to school, what I do find with them is they'll have a quiet word with you, but they won't make out that you're attached in any ways at all. Yeah. But a lot of the time, and I find it pretty sad, is they have very little in the line of varied life experience.
Yeah, no.
It's just, it is literally, well, what did you do? Well, I went to college, and then I started in the firm.
Or maybe travelled Bali for a year.
I went, I went wild and went to Thailand.
I found myself in Bali.
Myself in Bali, yeah.
Fucking had a full moon party with some little Thai boy, huh?
But I don't know. You see, but that's a strange thing. That's kind of getting to a new culture that's developing in Ireland. Is this kind of thing where school, college, gap year.
It's not even gap year. It's gap years, James.
Whatever it is. And then
what the fuck they're living on, I don't know. Because like I know several lads, and I remember them going to Bali and stuff. And I was like, I remember just looking on Instagram lately. I was like, they're still fucking there, the cunts. Like, or they're elsewhere. Or, do you know.
And is it the parents or what? Must be.
Some of them lads, there's probably an element of that. Or I'd say they're involved as like, they're on the board of certain companies and that kind of thing. And they probably, in fairness to lads now, they probably can work remotely to an extent.
Well, I had a fella who camped here, and I thought it was really cool. He had
it's not the
penis
now.
Round tents, Darren. You know, a bell tent, is it?
A yurt, no?
Huh?
A yurt.
Yurt type, yeah.
Yeah.
And it had this massive satellite outside it. And he was on a laptop, and I went down, and the loveliest fella you could meet. And he had only booked in for one night. He says, I'm only booked in for one night, but I'd like to stay a fortnight. He said, you can stay as long as you want, mate. I says, what are you up to? But it turned out it was a fairly significant German company.
Right, okay.
And he had a good job with them.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was travelling around the world, working remotely. And then he had like his van and his surfboard. And he was going around Ireland, Scotland, wherever he could find a wave.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's kind of cool,
That
you
is
know.
cool, yeah.
But, yeah, there's this whole, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, I don't know, but it's this kind of transient, nomad.
Yeah, lifestyle, and people don't want things, they don't want place, they don't.
Yeah.
But like, I noticed that, like, so like you're settled down now at 30, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you said that to some of the lads, they would be horrified.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're horrified. But I think lads and women nowadays are they're getting a bit forgetful of that. Like, they think that, like, I don't know what it is in their head. They think that their parents were, like, in their 40s when they had them.
No. They were,
when it was completely the opposite case, like, do you know?
Yeah.
But they think they have all this time.
Yeah.
And they don't, like, we don't.
No.
That's the bottom line, like. And I'm not just on about women's cycles and stuff like that, like, and the clock's ticking and all that. I'm not trying to say that, but if you've spent 15 years after school traveling the world, how are you ever going to settle, like?
You won't.
Like, you'll find it very difficult.
And there's another aspect to it too, is that, you know, if you have not too much of a generational gap, you can identify with things that younger one knows about. Whereas if it goes into, you know, maybe a 3 or a 4 year or 4 decade generational gap, you haven't a clue.
No, you haven't a clue.
You know,
and like, I think a lot of it is a bit though as well. Like, and then obviously you hear them say about kids and stuff. But I think a lot of them, people are gone very selfish. They don't understand the value of that. Your gift to the earth is what you leave on the earth.
Yeah.
And how you influence that gift. Like.
Yeah.
So, like, your kids are your gift left on this earth.
That's right.
Your responsibility, whether they are a gift to the world or a fucking penance to the world, you know. And that's the meaning of life, like.
Well, that's a
people
very
have no appreciation for that now.
That's a very good point. And we were at a marriage course. To get married in a Catholic church, you have to do
you have to do the old style marriage course. Yeah.
And what I noticed at it, now I don't know, I'm still thinking about what the importance of it was, but the vast majority of couples, it was the wife or prospective wife who spoke on behalf of the couple.
Yes.
So most of us were taking a back seat, don't be here, rather
do as
be
you're
any
told,
place,
keep
you
her
know.
happy, boys.
Whereas in our situation is, Roisin is the boss, but I kind of do the talking on behalf of the boss.
Yeah.
But your man asked a question, and it was about parenting. And he goes, what's your most important thing when it comes to kids or that? And every woman had the same answer, which was to love them, to be there for them. And it went round and came to me, and I went, I don't know, I says, I always thought it was pretty important to get them ready to be an adult.
Yeah.
And your man goes,
thank you.
that's literally your job.
Yeah.
You know, you love them anyways.
Yeah.
Do you get me? But it's not much good loving him if he's, you know.
You can be their best friend when they're 18, but you need to be their mentor up to that. Like.
Well, that's it. And I still think at 18 or that, you know, they're an adult and all that, but it's nice to have a word, you know, to say. Yeah. But I couldn't get over it that day that everyone was the same response. It was love. And
yeah, but they thought that's what the priest wanted to hear. Like.
Well, they were given what I think was their truthful answer.
Yeah.
Which was, you know, the most important thing is love them and all that. That is important, but your duty really as a parent is
make
to get
them wise
them
to the fucking world.
The world is right, yeah. Like I do after I won't say it, but I used to laugh at it. It was someone who was really similar age to me, you know, really similar age. And I had a connection with the family, and I used to be coming home from work, and your man was in college in Donegal or that. And he'd come home with the laundry, and the mother would do it for him. And then the Sunday night when he was going up, she had all his meals for the week in these little, like, Chinese lunch boxes. Yeah. and she'd send them off. And I says it to her on one occasion. I said,
That's not love, though. At that point,
no,
that's leaving somebody vulnerable.
Exactly.
In a way, like you're actually leaving them vulnerable.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, no.
And I could, and your man Jordan Peterson and
Pearson talks about it a lot.
yeah,
like,
the overbearing
mother.
Yeah.
He said you have to kick him out. Give him the hard love, and love him later.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no, he said the biggest killer is the overbearing mother, whether you're a boy or a girl. But like,
well, it's like a lot of people would be onto that. It's quite clear that me and my mother have a fantastic relationship.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But the truth of the matter is, when I was 16, I left. I was like, nah, I'm out.
I know, I was 17.
Goodbye.
I was gone at 17, so yeah.
So all that it took for me to head off into the big bad world was I got my motorbike license, and I bought my motorbike, and I was like, good luck.
Bye.
I've spent the 16 years here. I'll be not home in the evenings now anymore. Might call in to see you every now and then. That was it. Gone. But an awful lot of young people just make that break.
No.
And the housing thing now is desperate for that.
That's making it worse, though.
It's making it way worse.
Parents are trying to help kids by letting them live in the house to save on rent, but they're giving them a disability in a sense.
Yeah.
Do you know? Look, obviously nobody wants to see their kids homeless or something like that, but like,
it's very hard to know. Do you know? I do listen to a lot of these podcasts and that, and sometimes you're left in a position where you have to have an opinion on this, that. But with the housing, it's really hard to know what's going to solve it. It's really hard to, because people will say, right, build more houses. Yeah,
but that's socialism. Socialism doesn't work.
Well, no, it's not even socialism. It's
right.
the facts of it. Build more houses. All right, so have you rang a block clear lately?
Yeah, you can. Well,
can you get one?
I can't get a plumber. I can't get an electrician. I know all about it. Like,
yeah. And then
from doing a renovation.
Oh, well, we need to train them, right?
Who wants to do it?
Nobody.
Yeah. Where's the women lining up to do it?
Sure. It's, again.
Now I'll say Donald. Do you know Donald Byrne? Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing the
Donald
I'd love to get him on this.
I'd say Donald should come on, which I can't see why he wouldn't. Donald is mad to set up a trade school. I see him talking about it a lot lately.
Yeah.
They're looking to set up a trade school, I think, in the west of Ireland or something like that for lads like me and you who maybe just needed a new direction in life instead of doing a leaving cert kind of thing or whatever. I think it's a great incentive. Like, he talks about the ones that he's seen in America and I think maybe Norway. Like, there's specific trade schools, but you go in and maybe the first year is a bit of everything. See what you like. Go hang out with James for a day, driving diggers, come fit tyres with me for a day.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit of everything. And then your second year, you're kind of going to tally in on, I want to be in construction, or I want to be in agriculture, or I want to be in mechanics, or,
Yeah.
And then it'll just narrow down as you go on, like, and hopefully get you into an apprenticeship and get you into things. And
well, I think what's going to happen, and I think people is very, very blind not to see it happen. Musk and the house. Mm-hmm. I reckon that's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
That they're going to change the concept of what housing is.
Yeah, and living.
Completely.
It'll be pods. Like.
But Maurice, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. So it is. Nice to have you above in Sligo. Yeah. And you'll come back.
Oh, by God, I'll be back.
That's all right. We're going to have you in the new year for definite. So, Darren, thank you very much.
Yeah. No bother.
God bless you. And thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll have more episodes coming soon.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. So, thank you very much for listening to that part of myself and Maurice's The Long Acres conversation. We're going to head over now to Patreon for part 2, where we get into the stuff that you can't mention on the free platforms. Now, one of the things that Maurice is doing at the moment, and I'd love if he'd support it, is the Irish Farmer Calendar 2025. There you are. Plenty of topless men for all you ladies to look at. There's Maurice's Mr. January, himself there and 2 coolie dogs. And a percentage of the calendar goes to a charity that helps people when there's been an unexpected death or a farm injury on a farm. So it's a really worthwhile cause. So I hope you support it. So head over to Patreon. The link will be in the description. And if you need any more information about upcoming podcasts or what we're doing, head to the website, which is jamesconwayexp.com. Thank you.